Welcome to Ashmont University. I am your professor today, Adam Ashba, president of Ashmont Realty. And today we're going to discuss your remedy request. So you're in contract, you just did your inspection with your buyer, but there's some problems. So stay with us. We're going to cover those right after this. So congratulations, you're in contract. You just had your inspection done, but the house isn't perfect. What a surprise. So what do you do? How do you go to the seller and ask for some help and issues and repairs? We're going to cover that right now. What you're going to do is you're going to need your remedy request form that is found on our electronic templates. And we're going to jump into that right now. Okay, so let's take a look here. All right, this form is called the Buyer's Request to Remedy form, which is exactly what it sounds. It's the buyer that's requesting a repair or remedy. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's put it in context a little bit. So we've done some great videos of showing a property and how to do it efficiently and properly and thoroughly. Now, when you have a client that's purchasing a home, you have to let your buyer understand that no home's perfect, even if it's a brand new home, okay? Everything can be repaired, but the issue and the reason why you get an inspection done is to make sure there's not anything majorly wrong with the property, okay? A request to remedy is not for chip paint, some wood needs touched up, or there's a crack on the tile. This is for major issues such as things that aren't working, or it could be mold, or structural issues, okay? That is really what the request to remedy, things that you just can't see, you wouldn't have known unless you had a licensed inspector taking a look at it, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. Let's jump into it. So the first thing is the seller and buyer have entered into a real estate contract originally dated blank. That is the day that you guys went into contract initially, when both buyer and seller signed their, executed their contract. That's where that date's going to be. Below that is going to be the premises address. So that'll be the address of the property or the home. Okay. Now, this big section here, this is going to be the section in which you're going to start itemizing the issues that that need to be done. So there's two ways to handle a remedy request, okay, after an inspection. One, you can have the seller repair the items, okay, before closing. So say the furnace doesn't work, the garbage disposal is not functioning, your sub pump is not working, okay? You can go to the seller and say, listen, these items aren't working. These should be things that are working in a home. Can you please fix them? Okay. So you're going to line item those out. So you could say, one, repair or replace sub pump. Now you want to make sure you're very clear. Now you can say repair or replace a sub pump. If you say repair or replace, if they have a plumber that comes out and fixes the existing sub pump, then they are compliant with the remedy. So if you want something new, such as I've seen it where buyers say seller to buy buyer a brand new furnace before closing. Okay, that basically means that they can't go in and repair the existing one. They have to purchase a whole new unit. And that could be a deal breaker or cause an issue during negotiations. So you want to make sure you're very clear. Another tip is when you do put in there, say for example, let's talk about the sub pump, seller to replace sub pump. Okay, that's very clear. Seller to replace sub pump before closing. Okay, that's very clear. That means that the seller is going to be replacing the sub pump before you close. The second thing I want you to do is on your inspection report, okay, you'll be getting an inspection report, which we covered in another tutorial. You'll want to address the page on the report that they found this issue. So on page 12, for example, if that is where the inspector cited the issue of the sub pump not functioning and needs to be replaced, please do that. Okay, because what that does is just show that you're not asking for anything above and beyond what a normal mechanical issues of a home. Okay, and they can clearly revert back to it, because there's some situations when a seller says, I thought, I didn't know it was broke. I don't know what they're talking about. But they can go back into that inspection report and you'll see where it's cited. And it just makes the process a little smoother, because I can tell you a lot of times you get into contract, but this is the time when it comes to requests to remedy in which a lot of deals fall through. Okay, so you want to make sure if there is anything broke or needs repaired, you cite it, ask them if they're going to replace it and with a brand new unit, or are they just going to repair the existing, and the timeline, usually before close. And then the last part is cite it in the inspection report so they can visually look at it and see what the issue was. And not only that, sometimes it helps the plumber understand what the issue is so they can replace the sub pump easier, repair it, or whatever it may be, or the electrician. Okay. All right. So you want to clearly itemize each item that you need to be repaired or replaced. Okay. Now, that's one option. The second option is, maybe the buyer, which I kind of like this sometimes, is maybe the buyer just wants money deducted off the purchase price of the home just so they can do it themselves. Because you got to remember, if there's a sub pump, let's use that back for example. If you say, seller, I want you to replace the sub pump before close, I don't know if many of you are sub pump experts or not, but there's many different styles, just like cars. There's some that are more powerful than others, horsepower, and there's some better brands than others. If you have to understand, a seller is going to try to minimally or fix that item with the least amount of money possible, because they're not going to be living there anymore. They're not going to put a Mercedes-Benz of sub pumps in a property that they're not living in. So you do lose control. And that's why I kind of like the idea of just deducting these costs off the purchase price of the home, because that's less down payment that my buyer needs to bring. And they can use that money to buy a sub pump that they want, and they think that might be better for them long term. So that gives them a little bit more control. If you do it that way, you still want to itemize the list of issues that are wrong. You want to be very transparent. These are the things that are wrong with the house, and we estimate as the buyer that this is going to be the cost to repair those. And what we would like to do, instead of paying $100,000 for the house, we estimate those costs to be $1,000. So now we're going to pay you $99,000. Okay, so pretty self-explanatory. Key things: itemize every issue that you have. Be very clear what the seller needs to do. Either replace it, or repair it, or just give me money. And also revert back to the page in which you can find these issues cited on the inspection report. Okay. And then at the bottom, what you're going to put is just put all terms and conditions remain the same. All right. That's what you'd put below. All terms and conditions remain the same. All right. Okay. And last but not least, another thing, what you're going to do is make sure you put an expiration time on this. I noticed that this is something that's kind of common practice, but put an expiration date on the on this request, because if not, the buyer or seller can take an extended period of time to think it over if they want to accept these new terms. Because remember, when you go into contract and you go into an agreed contract, if you do ask for any remedies, your first contract's kind of non-void, because now you're saying, I don't want to buy it at that price. I need you to do some things. So now we're rearranging the purchase contract a little bit. Okay. So this is kind of a scary time. It's very touchy. So you want to make sure you're very fair and upfront and honest about it. The buyer and seller need to both sign this form to agree to the new terms of the contract. You do not need to rewrite the contract that you did initially or addendums. This is more than ample enough. I do recommend putting some sort of expiration date and time down so this doesn't linger on forever. Okay, I hope that helps. And if you have any questions, please throw the comments below. Be happy to answer those. Like and subscribe. We come out with tons of different tutorials on different paperworks below. And again, thanks for watching this tutorial, and we'll see you on the next one.